how two Venezuelan immigrants targeted their country's elite in Florida and almost got away with it. Hi there, everyone. I'm Jeff, and this is Plain English lesson number 529. JR is the producer, and he has uploaded the full lesson to plainenglish.com/529. Here at Plain English, we help you upgrade your English, and part of that comes from being exposed to new words, new concepts, new ideas. And that was Monday's lesson. It was pretty much setting the table for today's lesson. Now, if you haven't heard Monday's lesson, go back to lesson 528 to listen to that. The concepts and vocabulary in today's episode will make a lot more sense if you've listened to Monday's. Now, today, you'll learn about two Venezuelan immigrants who targeted their own country's elite in a daring real estate scam in Miami. In the second half of the lesson, you'll learn the English phrase in the dark, and JR has a song of the week. Let's get going. On Monday, you heard that wealthy people around the world like to buy luxury homes in America. It's their way of protecting their assets just in case bad things happen in their home economies. Many people do this as a way to protect legitimately earned wealth. But not everyone who takes advantage of this strategy earned their money cleanly. On Monday, you also learned that a person can buy a house free and clear and then later take out a loan against it. You learned that the traditional way to do this is with a bank loan, which requires a lot of checks, documentation, verification, and paperwork. But there are people who will make a loan a lot faster. They're called hard money lenders. Well, Carlos Castañeda and Génesis Martusielo spotted an opportunity. They fled Venezuela years ago and settled in Florida, near Miami. Florida is also a part-time home to some other Venezuelans, family and friends of strongman President Nicolas Maduro, businessmen with ties to the regime, and other high-level government officials. Many, but not all, of the Venezuelans who own luxury property in Florida acquired massive personal wealth even as their country's economy crumbled. Now, these Venezuelans own American property as an investment to protect their future, and they own their properties free and clear. But there's a problem. Many Venezuelan officials and their families are subject to American government economic sanctions. The last election in Venezuela was widely seen as unfair and illegitimate. In response, the U.S. government restricted travel and placed economic sanctions on some high-level Venezuelan businessmen and officials. And some of those sanctioned individuals owned property in Florida. So after the sanctions, they couldn't visit their own properties. That's when Carlos Castañeda and Génesis Martusielo cooked up their scam. The couple figured that if certain owners couldn't even travel to the US, then they, Castañeda and Martusielo, they could loot the homes of the Venezuelan elite. But this was no ordinary breaking and entering kind of theft. Castañeda and Martusielo decided they would go to hard money lenders. They would pretend that they were the true owners of the home. They would ask hard money lenders for massive real estate loans, pledging the homes of the sanctioned Venezuelan officials as collateral. I told you before that hard money loans are the fast way to get a loan on a home you already own. There's not a lot of documentation, not a lot of checks, but also not a lot of consumer protections. But you do have to show that you own the house you're pledging as collateral. Well, Castañeda and Martusielo had that covered. They hired Venezuelan models who looked like the sanctioned individuals. They created fake passports and identity documents. They made up fake backstories. And they sent those models into a lender's office. And it worked. Luis Carlos de Leon Perez was an executive at the Venezuelan State Oil Company. He pleaded guilty to American corruption charges. Castañeda and Martusielo sent 2 Venezuelan immigrants to a lender, impersonating Leon Perez's wife and mother-in-law. Pretending to be the owner's family, they came away with a $4.5 million loan collateralized by the family's luxury mansion. Next up was Semark Lopez Bello. He's a Venezuelan accused of narcotics trafficking. He denies any involvement in illegal activity, but the U.S. government sanctioned him so he can't come to America. But he owns a mansion in Florida. It's in the name of his daughter. The house wasn't in great shape, so Castañeda and Martusielo enlisted a few friends. They went to the house to cut the lawn to make it look good for lenders. Once again, they impersonated the true owner, in this case, Lopez Bello's daughter. And once again, they walked off with a lot of money, millions of dollars in loans, with another person's house pledged as security. They continued this kind of scheme with luxury condominiums. And they got brazen, sometimes staying in the homes, driving the owners' cars, and getting their own personal mail delivered to these other homes. At one point, they even faked a rental agreement showing themselves as lawful tenants of a luxury apartment, all while the true owners were in the dark. Their downfall came when they got greedy and careless. Having walked off with over $10 million in loans on properties that weren't theirs, Castañeda and Martusielo and their associates started to live large. They took a lavish trip to Las Vegas and gambled away much of their fortune. They bought a Lamborghini SUV and other luxuries. They were finally caught trying to transfer money using fake passports. But Carlos Castañeda did learn something from the experience. Just as the Venezuelan regime officials bought property in the US to protect against catastrophe, Carlos Castañeda bought hundreds of thousands of dollars of luxury watches and shipped them to the Dominican Republic, where it's all safe from American authorities. Castañeda is in jail now. He's not talking to the media. But one of his associates did say this from jail. He said that a thief who steals from a thief gets 100 years of forgiveness. And now for my favorite part of this story, the response from one of the Venezuelan homeowners. You'll be relieved to know the homes are safe. They cannot be taken to repay the fraudulent loans. Well, anyway, Semarg Lopez Bello is currently one of the most wanted people by the American immigration authorities. He denies involvement, but he's accused of narcotics trafficking and money laundering. He issued a statement of shock and disappointment. He said he invested in American real estate because he thought it was safe and secure. Instead, he complained that American authorities allowed criminals, to invade his privacy, mortgage his property, and steal his daughter's identity. So here is an accused international drug smuggler complaining that American laws didn't sufficiently protect his ill-begotten wealth. Well, I guess even drug kingpins have a sense of humor, right? Also, if you are cooking up a scheme to steal millions of dollars, can I just give you a little advice? Don't go to Las Vegas, please. Don't go anywhere near a casino. Don't buy a Lamborghini. Come on, guys, this could have worked. They got so far, and then they decided to go to Las Vegas. Today's English expression is in the dark. To be in the dark about a situation is to not know anything about what is going on. Imagine owning a luxury mansion in another country and not being able to go see it. Imagine also that you're subject to sanctions, so you can't hire people to check on your property. Probably your family isn't allowed to travel. You might be feeling a little bit in the dark. You might be feeling like you do not know what is going on. And indeed, they didn't know what was going on because some unlucky business and government leaders in Venezuela were the targets of a daring real estate scam. While they were in Venezuela, scammers in Florida were living in their houses, driving their vehicles, and faking their identities. The true owners were in the dark the whole time. The true owners didn't know anything about what was going on. You can say, I was in the dark about something. People complain about being in the dark at work all the time. office politics, right? I was in the dark about JR's new project to redesign the website. That means I wasn't involved in JR's new project to redesign the website, and I didn't know anything about it. Another common way to use in the dark is to say keep someone in the dark. To keep someone in the dark is to purposely not tell that person what's going on, to purposely not let them have the information they need. Oh, here's a good example. Sometimes a young couple will move in together, but they don't really want their parents to know that they're living together. So they kind of fake it. They say they're living with roommates or alone or something. They keep their parents in the dark about their living situation. Now, this really only works if you're not in the same city, right? FTX, a cryptocurrency exchange, recently collapsed. The founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, and a small number of other executives knew, probably, that they were using customer deposits to make risky investment bets. In simple terms, customers deposited money on the exchange, thinking the exchange would keep them safe. Instead, the exchange took their money and lost it on risky bets. Oops. Well, we're still learning the details, but most employees at FTX were in the dark. The founder and a very small number of people at the top, they kept everyone else in the dark. They hid that information from everyone else in the company. They kept everyone else in the dark. Now it's time for JR's Song of the Week. It's Fly by Midnight by Automatic featuring Jake Miller. Here's the line I like from that song. It says, "It feels like I'm on a wait list for someone to really know me." It feels like I'm on a wait list for someone to really know me. The song to listen to today is Fly by Midnight by Automatic featuring Jake Miller. Thanks, JR, for that one. And that's all for today. Congratulations on reaching the end of today's lesson. This was number 529. So the full lesson is at plainenglish.com/529. Now, a quick note. We're going to do something a little different over the holidays this year, which is that we'll have 4 lessons that are not really about trending topics. And this is going to allow the whole Plain English team to have some flexibility over the holidays. So we'll do 4 holiday special lessons. They're going to be the same format as normal, but the topics will be a little more fun, a little more general, and we're going to prepare them in advance, and that will let us all manage the holiday schedule a little easier, and I hope you like them too. So the holiday special lessons will go from December 22nd to January 2nd. That will give us a break. But I don't want you to have to think about anything too difficult over the holidays, so they won't be too much work for you either. Deal? All right, that's it for today. See you on Monday. Have a great weekend.